Knox Country
Podcast Edition.
I've always been around great songwriters and artists my whole life. I'm Michael Knox. Welcome to my world.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Jason Aldean, and you are listening to my boy Michael Knox on Knox Country
Podcast.
Welcome to the Knox Country Syndicated Radio Show podcast. We got Mr. Hit Songwriter, incredible singer, Mr. Neil Thrasher in the house. The only Bama fan Shalacy will talk to.
There's a couple, but Neil is one of my favorite Bama fans, so it's good to have him visiting us.
I appreciate that.
Now, do you remember the first time me and you met? Do you remember that? I know it was with Wendell the first time I kind of met you. I don't know if
was it at Warner Chapel?
Yeah.
I remember working with you in the studio across the street from Warner Chapel.
Yeah.
I was I came in to sing a demo, and you were over there producing the demo.
But that was Warner Chapel then.
That was part of their company there.
Yeah. That was the old studio.
But it was across the street from the big building, right?
Yeah.
That place. I don't know if that's where we first met, but it was.
But I remember getting you singing background on some Danny Lee stuff.
Okay.
And then some early Jason stuff too, like demos.
Yeah.
But I
can't recall when we first met though.
Yeah. It's been a long time, but I've been a huge fan of yours, of course. You know you're my go-to guy, first in town, anytime I'm looking for songs.
Well, thank you, man.
And a lot
of my songs go to you first.
Well, a lot of people doesn't know this, but you actually sang background on She's Country, which
sir.
You didn't write, but you did sing the background on that. We searched for 2 days for a vocal who could get that high and not sound like a falsetto,
right?
Or whatever. And you sing that in your sleep, so you came in there and was just killing it.
And I think to this day, I was like, man, they got me cranked up when I hear that record on the radio. I was like, good Lord, everybody from Alabama, from Birmingham was calling me, going, "Is that you singing on that record?" I'm like, yeah, they could tell. they could hear the gospel overtones.
But that actually, when you did that, that's what actually made us start using you more and more and more.
Amen.
On those records, because it kind of gave a little more of an edge than what we were having in the past.
Mm-hmm. I love singing backup. I love singing backup to Jason too, because he's easy to sing to.
Well, speaking of gospel, I didn't realize you won a Dove Award.
I did.
Oh my gosh!
Is that anything to do with the chocolate?
Oh goodness!
No, the soap.
So what was it for?
I was supposed to be at the awards, and I didn't even know I was nominated. It was for a
you
song
went,
called.
Though, right?
No, I didn't know. No, I didn't know. I didn't get invited. I didn't know we were nominated. I wasn't there, and I started getting texts from the guy that I co-wrote the song with, Michael Boggs, and I was like, what?
Yeah, somebody like me, right?
You're at the Dove Awards, and I'm supposed to what? I had no idea, and next thing I know, we won. Jason Crabb cut a song called "Somebody Like Me." And it won.
That's amazing.
One of the Song of the Year awards there.
But I mean, your family has a big history.
Yeah,
in
the gospel music world runs deep in my family.
Yeah, what was your father's?
The Thrasher brothers. Yeah, he sang when he was singing professionally when he was 4 years old, and from there on out, all the way through, the late '80s, early '90s.
Now, was that
like honest?
Now, I've seen some old videos and stuff. I mean, was it ever hill music? I mean, was it ever that kind of thing, or was it always pretty mainstream
Southern quartet gospel singing, man? Yeah. That's all night singings and dinners on the ground, buddy. That's what I grew up around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I got it honest. I got it on both sides. My mom's father did it too. He actually did a radio show with Gene Autry there for a while.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Did you? I mean,
that was before me.
No. I mean, but do you have copies of that stuff?
Yeah, Mom does. My mother does.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's cool. Really cool.
Yeah, I mean, my dad. We go back and we've been searching for years trying to find things that we don't have that he did. You know. So is it hard to find those old things? Like 45s and old recordings.
Some of them are gone. I don't know what happened to them, but Mom still has a collection of stuff that go way back, the 45s and 78s. I mean, she got some 78s of them.
Yeah.
The Keymasters Quartet. That was her dad and his brothers. So it was the Thrasher brothers and the Keymasters Quartet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, when I first saw you, when I first was ever introduced to Neil Thrasher, it was Thrasher Shriver.
Yeah.
I saw y'all on TV.
Shiver.
Shiver,
Yeah,
sorry.
everybody calls him Shriver. We went through that on a radio tour. It was crazy.
Well, and I saw y'all on MTV. They did. I mean, on CMT, they did something on y'all.
Yeah.
Where y'all were kind of doing your wardrobe, getting, it was artist development stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the first time that but man, y'all's first single was actually really strong. It was stronger than what it actually got legs on the radio.
Absolutely was.
You know, that was gone, right?
Yeah, going, gone.
Yeah, and man, that and your harmony on that was insane.
Come on. It was up there. I actually sing higher now than I did then.
Yeah, I mean, is that because you're a better singer now, you think, or is it because...
I think so. I mean, I think everybody gets better when it's what they do. I mean, seriously, I don't know why. You would think
the opposite.
You would think.
I don't know. I think voices get stronger. Now, they might not have some of the range, but with a guy like Neil who naturally sings that aggressively high, I can see it getting stronger as you get older.
It does. I don't sing enough anymore. It probably would be better if I sang more. It's a muscle. You got to keep it worked out, you know.
Hey man, when Aldean did that thing with Bob Seger for CMT,
yeah,
man, Bob Seger was still awesome.
He still brings it.
I mean, he was killing it. I mean, he was killing the vocals.
A lot of those guys still do.
Well, tell a little bit about the artist thing, about how that record deal came about. Were y'all playing way before then, or was it put together for that situation?
It was that all happened. I was singing with a group called Indian River. And we were doing a show in Beaumont, Texas, at the Bob Hope High School benefit thing in Beaumont, and Bob Dole and Garth Brooks were there. They were on the same show. And they heard us do our sound check. Well, after the show, they had asked us if we wanted to come sing on Garth's record. And he was doing the No Fences record, his second album. And we were like, yeah. And we got back to Nashville and went over to Bob's office and met with him and did all that and went and sang on the record and everything. Well, through all that, I met Lana there because she was working with Bob. Lana's my wife, as you well know. And I met her through all of that. And we were going to get managed by Bob. And we did a couple of things, recorded a few things, blah, blah, did all that. And that didn't pan out. But I stayed there and signed a publishing deal with Bob because my wife encouraged me to write songs, because I never would be writing songs today if it wasn't for her. She's the one that said, you need to write. She saw something in me that I didn't know I had. And that's where I met Kelly Shiver. He came along, and Bob put us together. And then we went in and recorded some things, and it had this Everly Brothers kind of thing going, you know.
Yeah.
And everybody thought it was really cool because we did a lot of singing together. It wasn't like one guy singing and another guy sitting out and playing guitar or whatever. We did a lot of singing together. And so we did that and wound up signing with Asylum Records. Did that record that Going, Gone was on.
What else was going on in the industry then? Because that first record that I hear of you guys, it's really cool. I mean, there's really some artist stuff going on there.
Yeah.
What do you think made that not, transcend? But I mean, because that Going, Gone first single was a really cool song.
Well, everybody said it's like, it was funny because it was like one of the first country records that had a loop, if you want to call it a loop. It had a drum track behind it that was manufactured. It wasn't a drum, and then a real drummer came in and put it on the top. But the song kicked off with a loop, and a lot of people at radio thought that sonically the drums just sounded bad. They thought it was a real drummer and they just sounded bad.
Yeah,
and we were like, duh, it's supposed to sound that way. So people thought we were a little ahead of
what was
our
going
time, and I tended to agree with them a little bit. We did it with Justin Niebank. It was me and Kelly Shiver and Justin Niebank, who was kind of getting his feet wet at the time producing, because Kyle Lenning, the head of the label, wanted us to work with Justin. He's like, hey, there's a new guy I want you to work with. And we did, and it was kind of like a little ahead of its time. But
do you think that's the best thing that ever happened to you?
What's that?
Maybe the artist thing.
Oh yeah,
kind of
Yeah, I did that for 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and went through 3 label heads over there and did another record that never came out, and we wanted to take it. And I think that was in '99, and was like, I wonder if they would let us out of our record contract and let us take this record with us elsewhere. So we were getting ready to do another showcase for like Capitol and Lyric Street, who was the new record label in town at the time. And then Reba McEntire wound up cutting a song of mine, and it was a hit in '99. It was my second big song, and that was in '99, and that was the one that made me go, do I really want to start over and do radio tour again and start from scratch, or do I need to focus on songwriting?
So what was the Reba song?
What do you say?
Big song. I love that song.
And what was the one before that?
That's What I Get for Loving You. That was in '96. And that was the other thing. We'd be on radio tour promoting our record, and all they want to talk about was the Diamond Rio record.
Yeah.
And Kelly Shiver would just roll his eyes like, oh, God, here we go. Why can't we talk about our record? I can't blame him, So the '99 thing, the Reba thing, is what made me like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to chase the songwriting thing. I'm going to see what happens.
So a lot of people don't know this, but you had a strong run with Rascal Flatts.
Yeah.
Bunch of cuts, bunch of hits.
Yeah.
Y'all were the guys kind of behind the scenes. And did that happen as a partnership with Wendell, or did it happen as a meeting somebody in the band or something?
Both. Wendell and I writing together all the time. That just is, and then becoming friends with Gary, the lead singer, because we have so much in common. Not just singing wise, but hobby wise and everything else. We just hit it off. So
did you meet him before he signed a record deal, or was it during that time?
I heard them. It's a funny story how I first heard Rascal Flatts. We were at me and Wendell and Billy Currington were writing.
And about Wendell Mobley.
Wendell Mobley, yep. We were writing with Billy Currington at my house in Cool Springs. And Billy had this CD of this group. He's like, man, you got to hear these guys, man. I think you'd love these guys. And he put it in and played like 3 songs. And the first one was their hit, Praying for Daylight, that I wish I'd written, And he played it, and I was like, man, these guys are awesome. Because I always loved harmony. I always loved Diamond Rio and groups that did harmony and stuff. And that was the first time I heard the Flats.
Yeah. Well, a 360, Steve Bogard was my songwriter at Warner Chapel. And I had pitched that song to Mark Bright for Blackhawk.
Really?
And Mark called us and asked Steve if he could cut it on this new band he's developing.
The rest is history.
And then that's how that kind of...
So you're responsible for Rascal Flatts' career.
Yeah, I need some royalties.
Oh, good Lord.
Here we go.
I need some royalties.
He's behind everything. Knox is behind everything. Hey, everybody, this is Neil Thrasher. You're listening to Knox Country
Podcast.
So did you have a lot on the first record?
No, I didn't have a song on the first record. I just listened to that one and enjoyed it. And then we started writing with Gary for the second one.
Yeah.
And we wrote I Melt. That was my first hit with them.
Now, I've heard the story behind this song.
Yeah.
And I think it's
me and Wendell and Gary.
But weren't you guys... Didn't Lana have something to do with it?
Yeah, Lana had something to do with that song.
Is she a fourth writer on it?
Yeah, it should have been. She's a fourth writer on everything. We were sitting at the house, and it was about midnight or so, and we were done, toast, ready to go home. Wendell was ready to go home, and Lana comes around the corner. And I tell this story at Writers before Wendell sings this song, because I make him do it. And I always tell this story at the writers' rounds, and she comes around the corner, doesn't say a word, and she just walks up to the mantel and lights these candles on the mantel and turns around and turns the lights off as she goes back in the bedroom. Doesn't say a word, and that's how the song started.
Mm-hmm. She has saved
so
you in so many ways.
Her.
Yeah, she's...
Right? There's a woman behind everything.
If it wasn't for her, you'd be selling cell phones at a kiosk somewhere.
You think?
At
Flip phones like the one you still use?
Walmart, yes.
He's giving you a lot of credit.
No.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, but y'all had a bunch of, just rattle off some of the big titles you had with Rascal.
Well...
you got to read them all.
There's I don't know. Good Lord.
All the Way to Banjo was your last single with him, is that correct?
Was Banjo the last one? Or Why Wait? I can't remember. Yeah, you got Banjo.
Fast Cars and Freedom, baby.
Fast Cars and
Now,
Freedom.
Fast Cars and Freedom, dude, was huge song. To me, that was the one where that kind of put him on another planet.
I think I've had like 45 Rascal Flatts cuts.
That's
I think
incredible.
We added them up the other day. Lana was just curious. And we went back and added
Yeah, I didn't
them
have enough paper to put them all down. So
Banjo, Why Wait,
Take Me
Bob
There.
That Head, Take Me There.
Now, Take Me There was the
Fast
one.
Cars and Freedom.
Take Me There was the one that I thought really moved the needle strong. I love Take Me There. The video was awesome as well. I mean, the whole thing was pretty laid out, pretty cool.
Wendell and I wrote that with Kenny Chesney. And
I didn't know that. Why didn't I know that?
Yep, sure did. It was actually Kenny's idea.
Now, had you already had some Kenny cuts before then?
Yeah.
Because you had his big old ballad. I mean that is his what
There
was
Goes My Life.
There Goes My Life, which is like that daggum video. Everything on that one, man, it just is a tearjerker, buddy.
Right. The timing of that song.
a 7-week number one.
Yeah, we don't
Isn't that
have that
insane?
anymore, dude.
No, that's
When's the last time you seen a 7-week airplay week number
that
one?
stuff don't happen no more.
Yeah, I mean you might have it on the other chart, but you don't have a 7-week airplay anymore.
It don't happen. And Wendell's had a couple of them with Kenny.
But dude, There Goes My Life is a standard. I mean, just hands down. But you've had a few of those, man. I can rattle off 10 standards you got right now. Just in that world, Rascal Flatts and Aldean. I mean, just those guys. I mean, not counting everything else that you've kind of had cut.
Yep. I had to sing "There Goes My Life" at Allie's graduation, my oldest daughter's graduation.
Yeah, how do you get through that?
You stare at the rafters in the gym. You do something. I don't know. You picture a teacher naked or something. I don't know. You just get through it.
But where are you originally from?
Birmingham,
Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're big.
Sorry, Shalacy.
You're a big Alabama fan. I mean,
Yeah, it's big.
and Shalacy's big LSU fan.
Yep.
So
We all get along.
We do.
We have total respect for one another.
That's it.
Yeah.
I have so many LSU friends, but I
Except
am a big
except in
Alabama
the
fan.
fall.
Yeah, we're still friendly in the fall.
We keep it civil.
Well, yeah, we do.
We keep it
do.
civil.
I mean, but yeah, it doesn't get any bigger.
Knox Country Podcast Edition.
Some of you know me as a record producer for acts like Jason Aldean and Thomas Rhett. Others know me as the son of rock and roll legend Buddy Knox, Party Doll fame back in 1957. I'm Michael Knox. Welcome to my world. You're listening to Knox Country.
Podcast.
Hey, this is Keith Urban.
What's up, y'all? It's your boys here, Florida Georgia Line.
Hey, this is Little Big Town.
And you're listening to Knox Country.
You've entered Knox Country.
Welcome back to the Knox Country Podcast. Our first cut together, the first time I started using you on backgrounds was that She's Country album, where we were putting you on She's Country.
Yep.
But our biggest hit we've had together was Night Train, in my opinion.
Right.
And but now my favorite song you've ever written, including me recording to whatever, is a song called Tattoos on This Town. That's probably hands down my favorite Jason Aldean recording that I've ever done. That's whenever anybody asks me, what do you do as a producer, I say I do Tattoos on This Town.
Uh-huh.
That's the favorite song, favorite recording, favorite everything, out of everything we've cut.
Well, it's one of my favorites too.
Now
And it was my favorite at the time.
Now when y'all were writing for that, y'all were really getting a lot of Aldean cuts at the time. I mean, was there any special story with that, or is that just one of those that just kind of just came out?
Well, that title came out when I was driving to the writing session.
Because I'd never heard that title before either, dude, which is crazy.
That was one of them gift titles, man. I was like sitting at an intersection, and when I saw I just saw skid marks. I've written 2 songs sitting in a red light, or gotten ideas for songs by sitting in a red light.
Yeah,
and that was one of them. Seeing those skid marks and the title Tattoos on This Town was, I'm serious. And I've said this before. It's the only title that just came out of just boom, just appeared.
Yeah, and what's
On the
so
way
bad,
in.
man? Even at Warner Chapel, man, I even went to the database and Googled and kind of searched, and there's no tattoos on this town. I mean, it was such a common sense title, that had never been written,
right?
And you're like, how did y'all? It's like missing one called "I Love That Girl," you know?
Right?
How did you miss tattoos on this town as a songwriter?
Because we always do that too. We look it up. It's like, there's got to be one with this title. There's got to be one with this title. And when we see that there's not, we're like, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, hands down, that's my favorite song that I've ever been involved with.
Cool, man. I appreciate that.
But
it sounds like you liked it. It sounds like you loved it.
Well, that's
just from the way the recording sounds.
That's my walk-on music. Everywhere I go, just play that intro.
What about them harmonies, though? Right?
Yeah, the harmonies are the best.
That's what made it.
Harmonies are the best.
Don't
part.
you think?
That was the best part.
Now, "See You When I See You" is a hidden gem.
Yeah,
that's one that hasn't had the light of day yet. It's on a Jason record.
I still do it during Writers Round.
Well, and I bet people know it. I mean, it really resonated strong for an album cut that I guarantee you one day will find its way to radio.
Yeah, I hope it does. I really do, and I hope Aldean does it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that's always been one of his favorites, which is funny to hear an artist talk about their favorite song on a record and then it doesn't escalate to be the single.
Yeah.
You know. But I'm sure you hear that a lot being around town. You
And
know?
if I need to give Aldean some ideas, you know, I know Keith Urban did it with a song of his. He went back like 2 or 3 albums with one of his. That song, "You Look Good in My Shirt," that was like 2 or 3 albums old, and he went back and grabbed it and put it out, and it was huge.
Well, you never know, man. He might do a greatest hits one day.
If you're listening, if you want me to send you a list of things that I wrote that you need to go back and put and re-release, in fact, just do an album. Just
Neil's
do a whole
cuts.
album. Yes, the Lost Neil cuts.
I mean, this plane don't go there. Holy
See, that
moly!
way, yeah.
Oh, well, you got a bunch of them, dude. Yeah, a bunch of your songs were staples to his direction of what he does, and you got to be proud too because you had that same effect on Rascal Flatts too. You know, and I think those two artists are the strongest ones where you really were a big part of melody. You know, melody direction for what these guys do.
Yep.
And I mean, because Rascal's a harmony band, Jason's kind of a lower key singer, but he does sing things in an odd key. Where
He's got a better range than people give him credit for.
And that's what I was going to say. Where that high harmony thing, man, really busts through the roof, and that's kind of your magic is that melody, that rock melody mixed in with kind of country lifestyle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I love that about your stuff. I mean, a lot of people don't know what. I mean, do you have a big rock background? Is that something?
Oh man, I sang so much rock music when I was younger. I was in a couple rock bands, and we did that whole thing.
Did you ever write it?
No.
You got to send me some of that stuff.
I don't have any of that stuff.
Why not?
Because we were cover bands, man. We didn't do anything. We didn't write, didn't record nothing.
So what was your favorite? What was your favorite rock song you sang?
Yeah, here we go. I don't know. I seriously, I don't know.
Were you a Slaughter guy? Were you a?
I listened to all that 80s.
Were you a
stuff.
White Snake guy?
Oh yeah, David Coverdale though, man. That dude, he's a singer. He's not just a rock singer. He's a freaking singer.
Did you ever go into the Motley Crue world or anything like that?
I listened to him, but I didn't get in. I didn't.
So Bon Jovi, was that too commercial?
Really. No, I mean it was cool for what it was.
So you were more docking.
I was more Tesla. I was the opening band.
Round
dude.
and round.
Darn, man. Good Lord, we can go on and on. Europe. That's right.
Well, Europe's cool, man.
Heck yeah.
You know.
It's the final countdown.
Yeah.
I ain't kidding.
So y'all have so much in common. It's so funny that the history you guys have working together now, and y'all live across the street from each other.
He won't stop following me around.
Is he stalking you?
Yes. Actually, did you buy your house first?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess I followed you. I stalked you then. Pretty smart on my end, I think.
Yeah.
Good business move.
But now your demos, man. The thing that I hear a lot of people say around town, even other people we've interviewed, is how distinctive your demos are and stuff. You know, kind of as a singer songwriter, it makes artists become fans of what you do and try to emulate what you do.
Thank God.
I mean, do you think about that when because you write a lot with other singers? Do you think a lot about that? I mean, because I know you've asked me before in the past, hey man, I'll get Wendell to sing this or I'll get somebody else to sing this, and I'm like going, hey man, I know my guy wants to hear your voice. You know, do Do you find that a situation in the studio when y'all were cutting tracks? Because your keys are crazy.
Well, I mean, it kind of became understood that I was going to sing them there for a long time, a big long stretch, and I always give Wendell a hard time, for not wanting to sing one, because he's sick and tired of his voice, and I get sick and tired of my voice a lot.
Really?
Oh yeah, I get sick of it. I'm so tired of me sometimes, it's ridiculous. But I'm a melody guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I will dissect it, and I will spend probably to a fault too much time on it. Sometimes, like take Night Train for instance. It's like I didn't spend a lot of time on that one, and just saying what I felt.
Yeah.
And I'm going, you know what? I probably should do more of that and quit overthinking this stuff.
But that's the cool thing about that is that there's, a lot of the songwriters in our town, the successful songwriters, are in love, kind of with melody, with their own artistry and things like that. And it makes these artists fall in love with them.
Yeah.
And then they go, oh, I want to be what they are.
Yeah.
Even though the songwriter might not be the artist anymore.
That's right.
But then the artists are trying to emulate those guys.
That's what's cool, man. These artists become fans of some of these writers. And
then they stick to them. Because I know you're when we're cutting records on Jason, his go-to is you, David Lee Murphy, Rodney Clausen and Dallas Davidson are his first four that he's always asking about, and now Florida Georgia Line are kind of popping in there too, but they usually just drive out to his house and play him stuff, but those four guys are his go-to at the very beginning of when we're starting to look for a record.
Thank God he is.
Yes, but
thank God we are.
But that's got to be cool, man, when you see these artists fans of y'all's. It's kind of like switching the switch there as a backwards way.
That's why we don't need to try to change what we're doing and overthink this stuff.
Do you find yourself when you're when you're in writers' rooms and things like that, when the loop situation comes up, do you find yourself saying, "Hey, man, I'd rather write old school"? Maybe 2-3 people in a room.
I struggle with all that. I do.
Yeah.
At first, I fought the track guy thing with all these guys that are coming into town that are really good with creating tracks.
Yeah.
Out of a box. I fought that and fought that and fought that. I know I don't want to do that. No, I don't want to do that. And it was just, I had a hard time at first writing with him, just going in there, because for me it's like I got to have some quiet, to think the lyric side of it and the idea side of it. And it's hard to kind of look at that as songwriting sometimes. Yeah.
When they're not putting melody in the loops and things. I understand some loops are very creative and very, 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 signature for a song, but some of them are just loops, that you're like, man, come on.
Well, we've allowed to give songwriter credit to a lot of different people now. And the last time I checked, that the melody and the lyric are the only copyrightable part of a song. And if they're not coming in with a melody idea or anything like that, why are you a writer on this song?
Yeah,
I never understood that. That was the biggest part that I struggled with right there. Like, why are we giving these percentages away to these people who aren't doing anything lyrically or melodically at all?
Because what's the difference between that and just going in and doing a session with a bunch of lyrics? And just having the band start to play and you just start singing to it.
These tracks sound so good that they're doing these days that everybody's gravitating to them. So
have you come out on the other side of that? Yeah. Or are you still?
No, I'm fine with it. But the track guys that I write with, to me, are writers.
They're contributing to the melody.
Absolutely. They're good musicians on top of being track guys.
Yeah, and that's different.
That's different.
And that's different because there is a generation of guys that think they find some cool outboard gear and they think they're a songwriter.
I mean, if Joe Walsh is going to play on Life in the Fast Lane, that's not the melody of the song. That's not the lyric of the song. But by God, he's part of that song. He is a third of that song.
Yeah, that's a hook.
And I get that stuff. I totally get that.
Yeah.
The hook part of the song. I totally get that. They absolutely are a writer on that song, And so there's a fine line to me when it comes to who should be a songwriter on a song and who shouldn't. And
well, let's go back a few years. When you were an artist on Asylum, right?
Yeah.
you were kind of, I mean, it was an older guy's world. It was, Brooks and Dunn, Alan Jackson, all these guys they were men.
Yeah.
They weren't boys, but now our industry has a whole bunch of boys.
Yeah.
Boys and young girls. Do you find that harder to write for since maybe
I can't write for that.
Yeah, I mean because it's maybe hard because they're not experiencing what you're going through writing wise. I mean, There Goes My Life. Is that something that you would see a young kid sing today? I mean,
I couldn't get that song cut today if my life depended on it. There's just some song that was a time when there's time for everything, and that was then. You couldn't get, there's songs back then that were huge copyrights that you couldn't get arrested with today.
Yeah. And that's just the age of the industry.
That's right. It just goes in cycles, and it's starting to feel like it's starting to come back around a little bit to me. I've been seeing where younger artists are starting to look for songs. Some folks are giving them good advice about going and looking. Don't try to write everything for your project. Go out and leave it open. Yeah. Go find. There's so many great songs out there that are just unheard.
But that was kind of something that kind of generated in the early 2000s, is where where these artists that weren't really songwriters would just be thrown in rooms with writers, and then it started escalating to, oh, this is a business. Yeah. And these guys really aren't writing, and you're having to lose a third of the song to kind of be a part of that project.
That's right.
Right.
That's the part I can't
I think this year is where we are at the peak of that, where now everything's part of these teams and everything's part of these deals, where that might not be the best thing for our format.
No. Is this a show that I can be honest about? And
yes.
I can say what I want to say?
You just can't cuss.
I can't cuss?
No.
Why the hell not?
Look.
Speaking of that, where it's gone and where it is right now, I've really struggled with it. Being where I am in my career right now, I've learned to accept a lot more. I fought it at first, but I've learned to accept a lot more. There's a lot of freedom in being picky about who you write with and who you want to write with and who I write best with. But I'm more open now. I say yes a lot more. Yeah, I'll try it out. I'll write with them, see what happens. You never know. Heck, you're never going to know unless you show up.
Yeah. So. Well, and I find myself as a guy who's a song finder. I'm not getting to find, I don't get to find the types of songs that I used to find. Now there's a lot of mid-tempos. There's not a lot of ups and downs anymore in melody and track and stuff. It's hard to find those these days when things are written to a grid. Yeah. And I find that being a problem on my world. When we're like this last record we cut on Jason, the Review Town album, I think everything just fell into a nice place where we were finally finding those songs. One of my favorite songs other than Tattoos is Review Town, period. Hands down, one of my favorite songs I've ever cut. And and I hope that sees the light of day during this process of the album.
I hope so too. I was reluctant to even. We were reluctant to even write it because it's another town song. It was like, how many town songs can we write? And oddly enough, we keep on writing town songs because the ideas are there, and we're going to write town songs till we run out of titles for town songs.
Yeah, until you run out of towns.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, everyone has one.
We've had This Nothing
yeah.
Town, we've had Tattoos on This Town, and now Review Town. There's probably another one in there somewhere that I'm not thinking about.
This Nothing Town was something that was resonating huge. Just off the album, it kept getting played as a top 50. Just flying off the record. And but I think those resonate, man, with the true country music fan.
I do too. And if I say so myself, we wrote the dog out of Review Town. It just fell out. It was awesome the way it turned out.
Yeah, I agree.
Hey guys, it's Shalacy. Check us out on the web at knoxcountry360.com or on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at knoxcountry360.
But let's go back to kind of, when you and Wendell were writing a lot, y'all have other people that you throw in the room with y'all. I mean, you have other regular guys that you write with.
I write with Wendell Mobley. I write with Michael Delaney. I write with Tony Martins. I write with Kelly Lovelace. I write with Lee Miller.
But those guys have been guys you've been writing with forever, you know, for a long time,
Yep.
But I think that's strong, man, to be able to find a niche of what you do and not get away from it. You know, it's cool to dab in some other things to get those off your plate. You know, something we talked about earlier was how diverse our how country music is so diverse right now. You know, and do you find yourself chasing that, or do you find yourself writing? And now what you write, now the melody and storylines and the lyrics you write are now more left of center than mainstream, and those are the cool ones that stand out now. You know, what you're kind of writing.
We're just writing what we love now.
Isn't it weird that the whole now traditional country is alternative?
I know.
You know, or your way of writing, which was the norm in the 90s, is now alternative kind of country.
I know it. It really is.
It's the ones that stand out on the record, you know.
Well, it's, once again, it's like started off writing what we love, then we started following trying to follow a trend and hated that, and now we're getting back to writing what we love again, and it's starting to pay off again. It's like, okay, we got diverted there for a little while,
but everything has to go the ups and downs.
It does
to find that.
It does, big time. And I'm hearing a lot of traditional stuff now. A lot of people are looking for some just country stuff. I'm hearing a lot of steel guitar stuff now.
Yeah.
You know, we're booking steel guitar players on demo sessions again. Yeah, we weren't doing that at all. I mean, that's what I love about it. And but just getting back to writing what I love, I'm so much more relaxed. I want to go back and listen to what we've been writing. There for a while, I haven't listened to anything. You know, there for a while, I had a period there where I don't care about listening to any of that stuff I wrote. Yeah, because I don't like it.
We got How Country Feels, you know, ASCAP Song of the Year.
Yep.
And that was you and Wendell and
Vicky McGehee. Yes, sir.
That's right. Now that song, you know, awesome melody, dude. Lot of aggression in that, man. I still hear that today.
That song started off with a guitar lick. That all started with a lick.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Just a rock thing. It's that rock thing coming out, man. It's
but that hook's addicting.
Yeah.
How country. I mean, that hook's addicting. You know, and then Randy Houser, no offense, man, that guy's a singing fool.
He is. He's a country singing son.
Did you ever get to meet him before then, or because I think he sang it that night with y'all, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. We got up there together and sang it. Him, and Wendell.
That's ASCAP Song of the Year, man. That's huge.
And that was funny. Y'all pulled a fast one on me, y'all and my wife. I had no idea. I remember getting to the ASCAP Awards and going, "What are we doing up front? We're getting like one award. What are we doing up here on the front row?"
And there was George next
table.
And
I never thought another thing about it. And I was like talking to somebody when they announced it. It was like so rude on my part, but they were up there talking. I'm like, I'm ready to go. You know, like, let's go. I'm ready to hit that. You're always ready to go. It's getting late. You know, heck, I'm old. I'm ready to go.
Is there a big story behind writing that one or anything, or is that?
No, we just got together.
That one feels very, very like natural for you.
Oh, that sucker just came out.
But you know what, man? Talking with a lot of writers and stuff, most of their biggest hits are things that they, you wish there was a cool story.
Oh, there's not.
I know, and
there's no cool story.
Well, what about
Night Train doesn't have a cool story.
Night Train is probably my favorite Aldean song.
It doesn't have a cool story. That was Michael Delaney's title. Favorites. It was his title, and it was like, let's get this wrote, man. So we wrote it that day, and it was like, I see it. It was one of them quick deals, and I didn't think a thing about it.
Yeah.
And we demoed it. I'm like, y'all turned it into a freaking huge hit.
Yeah, but
I didn't see that coming.
But that little guitar thing in there is as addicting as anything.
Yeah.
That little thing in there. We made sure we tripled it with a guitar. Yeah, we. But I mean, yeah, it's funny, man. Everybody we've kind of rapped with, man, their biggest hits or their biggest things were things that just kind of happened, with no thought. It was just kind of like, man, it just kind of went down that day.
Fast Cars and Freedom was written without a title. We wrote the whole song, didn't even have a title. We're like, oh, well, let Gary decide what they want to call it. Seriously, because the hook lays in the middle of the chorus,
Well, yeah. That's almost a staple for him. When every Aldean album, it's like, man, I need a Fast Cars and Freedom. I need a Fast Cars and Freedom.
I wish I could write another one.
Well, if it was that damn easy.
I know, right? We'd write them every day if we knew what the formula was. Listen, there goes my phone.
Oh. What is that?
That's your ringtone?
Yeah. Listen. Oh, we got him.
That's awesome.
How many number ones you've had? Like
I've
20?
had 10. No, I've had so many. People think I've had more number ones than I've had because I've had so many number twos.
Yeah, well, that's what. Well, that's what I was leading.
Serious.
Well, that's what I was leading up to. But you've had like 20 songs that pay like a number one,
Right.
You know, and that's my whole point, is that it's such a longevity catalog. I mean, it's such a go-to catalog.
Yeah.
As a songwriter,
There's a lot of songs in there.
well, it's a lot of songs that resonated, you know, which is different. I mean, there's a lot of writers that get a lot of cuts, and then there's a lot of writers that I hear your songs 10 years later.
Yeah.
And you know, so man, I'm very happy to have you part of this show, and I appreciate you being
I
there.
appreciate you asking. This was fun. I appreciate it.
Knox Country.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Knox Country Podcast. Special thanks go out to co-host Miss Lacey Griffin and producer Donnie Walker. See you next time.
You've entered Knox Country Outtakes.
You were inducted into the Alabama Music Hall of Fame.
Well, I was. Hang on. Hey, I want you to. Have you ever tried getting down here? Have you ever done that? Work on it. Sean Parr.
You remember?
The karate guy?
No, Danny Lee.
Oh, mercy.
The artist.
Oh.
The female girl.
Oh, yeah. All right. Got it.
The karate guy. Which karate guy?
Is it by like the Karate Kid?
That's Bruce's little cousin, right? Bruce Lee's little cousin, Danny Lee. And I just gather the kids, and I gather everybody, like, let's go. We're out of here. Because I thought the dude was dead. I'm serious. I didn't want my kids to see this. This was bad. I mean, it's a bad deal. Well, we get to our car, and we're leaving. And I see them wheeling the guy out on a gurney, and he's got his hands up, and he's making that rock on sign with his left arm, and he's covered in blood. And he's like, yeah.
Wow.
And I say, see, kids, that's what drinking does for you.
Knox Country Podcast Edition.